Guys, I hope that you're all doing well. Today's lesson is about grade 8 finance or financial mathematics, and I'll teach you guys simple interest. Before I teach you guys simple interest, I want you to understand what interest is, okay? So interest is extra money that is either earned or paid when money is saved, borrowed, or invested. Think of interest as a percentage that's added to money over time. Now, interest can either be good or bad. It could favor us or it could be against us. Now, when is interest good? Let's say you put 5,000 Rand into a savings account. The bank pays you interest because you allowed the bank to use your money. Your 5,000 Rand can grow. Interest can be bad in a sense that if you instead borrow 5,000 Rand from a bank, you may have to pay the bank more than 5,000 Rand because interest is charged on the money you've borrowed. So remember, saving or investing money, you can earn interest. Borrowing money, you usually pay interest. Now let's move to simple interest. Simple interest is interest that is calculated only on the original amount of money. Guys, please make sure that you write all this information in your notebook so that it's easy for you guys to practice finance when it's time to write your exams. For example, let's say you invest 5,000 Rand at 10% simple interest per year. You earn the same amount of interest per year. Let's try to calculate this. 5,000 Rand at 10% simple interest per year. So if you invest 5,000 Rand at 10% simple interest per year, you have to take 10% of 5,000 Rand, which is basically 5,000 Rand times 10%. 5,000 Rand times 10% is 500. Okay. So how do we calculate this? We have to start with, let's say, year 1, okay? Year 1. Let's say year, then interest. Let's just do a table. Let's say year 1. We have 500 Rand interest, okay? 500 Rand. For year 2, we'll also get 500 Rand because the statement says you earn the same amount of interest per year, meaning if in the first year it's 500 Rand, in the second year it'll also be 500 Rand, as well as the third year. Let's say year 3, it's 500 Rand. So how much have you earned in 3 years? After 3 years you have earned, let's take this 500 Rand 3 times. We'll say 500 times 1, 2, 3. 500 Rand times 3 is 1,500 Rand interest. You have calculated the interest. Remember, we invested 5,000 Rand at 10% simple interest per year. So it's 10% of 5,000 Rand, which is 500 Rand. 10,000 of 5,000 Rand is 500 Rand. So in year 1, you have 500 Rand, year 2, 500 Rand, year 3, 500 Rand. You then said 500 times 3, which is 1,500 interest. This is your interest. So what is your final amount? You've calculated your interest. To get your final amount, you have to start with what you originally had, which is 5,000 Rand. We take this 5,000 Rand here. Let me say final amount. As we just calculated the interest, we had 5,000 Rand in the beginning. We have to add our interest, which is 1,500 Rand. 5,000 plus 1,500 is 6,500. This is your final amount. Now, fortunately, we don't always have to use this table in order to calculate our interest. There's a formula that we have to use. We have the simple interest formula, which is P times I times N. It gives you the interest. So the P, please write this formula in your notebook. The P stands for principal, which is the principal amount. It's basically the original amount of money. I could also write this for you guys. The original amount of money. We then have I, which is the interest rate. So the interest rate is usually written as a decimal, okay? Meaning if you have, let's say, 10%, how do you write this as a decimal? We have to say 10 divided by 100, which is 0.1. 5% could be 5 divided by 100, which is 0.05. Then 8%, it'll be 8 divided by 100, which is 0.08. So now you guys know the interest rate. You know P, you know I, we're left with N. N is your number of periods. The number of periods is basically how long the money will be invested or borrowed. If the interest is calculated per year, then the N is the number of years. So number of periods, how long the money is invested. For example, if they tell you that interest is invested in 3 years, then your N is 3. And I want you guys to know something. P times I times N gives you the interest. Not the final amount. Okay, it gives you the interest. So once you've calculated the interest, the final amount is the P, which is your principal amount, plus I, which is your interest. So please copy this in your notebook. The simple interest formula, I is equal to P times I times N, where P is your principal amount or the original amount of money. Your I is your interest rate, which should be written as a decimal. Your N is your number of periods or how long the money will be invested, usually in years. And then we have the final amount, which is P, your principal amount, plus interest, the one that you've calculated there. Now let's try an example. This video is proudly brought to you by McDonald's. Download the McDonald's app today and start earning points every time you order your favorite meals. The more points you collect, the closer you get to exciting rewards like free burgers, desserts, drinks, and more. Simply order through the app, collect points, and redeem them for delicious treats once you've reached the required threshold. Get the McDonald's app now for more information and start enjoying rewards with every bite. Let's try the first example. 5,000 Rand is invested at 10% simple interest per year for 3 years. Calculate the interest and the final amount. What is the first step? I'll write down the steps for you guys. Let's say step 1, because this will be part of your notebook, right? Step 1, identify the values. Let's start with your P. Remember, the formula is I is equal to P times I times N. This is your interest, that is your principal amount, that is your interest rate, and that is your period. So we start with the I as you're calculating interest, with the P. What is the starting amount here? 5,000 Rand is invested at 10% simple interest. That means 5,000 Rand is your P. So P is 5,000 Rand, as that is what you started with. What is your interest rate? They tell us that our interest rate is 10% simple interest. So this will be 10%. Remember, how do you find a percentage? You just say 10 divided by 100, which is 0.10. What is your N? 5,000 Rand is invested at 10% simple interest per year for 3 years. So that is your N. How long you've invested the money, right? Let's say 3. That is the first step. Let's move to step 2, where we use the formula. So please write all this information that I'm writing so that it's easier for you guys to revise. What is the formula again? Interest is equal to P times I times N. Principal amount times interest rate times number of years. So now we have to substitute. I is equal to, what is your P? 5,000 Rand. You just substitute times your interest rate, which is 0.10. Write it as a decimal. Then N, which is 3. 5,000 times 0.10 times 3 should give you 1,500 Rand. This is your interest. You don't have your final amount. What is your final amount again? Let's say step 3 final amount. We don't really have to write it as the third step, as you don't always need to find your final amount. So let me just say final amount. Remember, final amount is P plus I. That is the formula. Now let's substitute. What is your P? Your starting amount. We started with 5,000 Rand. So you have to write our 5,000 Rand here. Plus, what is your interest? The one you just calculated, it's 1,500 Rand. So it'll be 5,000 plus 1,500 Rand, which is 6,500 Rand. This is your interest. To find our final amount, we take the principal amount, add our interest, so we get 6,500 Rand. Let's try the second example. 2,000 Rand is invested at 5% simple interest per year for 4 years. Calculate the interest, and they are looking for the interest. What is the formula again? Interest is equal to principal amount times interest rate times number of years or duration. So what is the first step? Step 1, we have to identify our... I wrote the steps for you guys on the side. Step 1, we have to identify our values. What is our P? The starting amount, it's 2,000 Rand. As that is what we started with. 2,000 Rand. What is our I? The interest rate is 5% simple interest per year. So you have a 5%, which is 0.05. Then N, number of years, you have 4 years. At step 2, you have to use the formula. Substitute this, and that into that formula. I is equal to P times I times N. I can also rewrite it here. I is equal to P times I times N. What is our P? Our P is 2,000 Rand. What is our I? 0.05, the interest rate. And lastly, number of years, we have 4. Therefore, our interest is 2,000 Rand times 0.05 times 4 should give you 400 Rand. Calculate the interest earned. The interest earned is 400 Rand. Step 3 would include write the final amount. However, we are only looking for the interest earned. So you have to make sure that you read, comprehend what's been given to you, and then use the formula that is relevant. And that is how we deal with simple interest in grade 8 financial mathematics or finance. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next finance video.